Hi, my name is Brianna, and I'm going to be talking to you today about the challenges faced by children with special needs, families, and the level of support they receive from school services. So, the importance of highlighting this challenge. Having a child with special needs presents a variety of changes and challenges within the family unit that affect both the child and the family, requiring care that exceeds physical, mental, intellectual, and sensory. As such, families are required to adapt to their dynamic family life by adopting various strategies, mindsets, and ways of living to accommodate for a child with special needs. Perception of well-being can rely on how the family system operates, as well as how they interact with external areas of support, such as religious groups, social and counselling services. A key aspect in living with a disability or a child with special learning needs revolves around educating the family unit on various coping strategies and the developmental process of children with additional learning needs. That's the slide for that one. When considering the challenges faced by children and families, it is also important to acknowledge the importance of the relationship between schools and parents. According to the National Mapping of Teacher Professional Learning Project, 82% of teachers feel they require more training in parent-teacher communication and involvement. This suggests that whilst parents are encouraged to seek out training, seek out support from the school sector, they may not be receiving it in an adequate way due to lack of training. These gaps in perceived support reveal how important potential research on intervention and programs are in ensuring families can deal positively and increase overall well-being. So the first case study that I did was the experience of parents of school children with special education needs. So this was centered around the psychosocial development theory, where families with children with special needs, in relation to this, it means that they are able to understand the personal, emotional, and social stages of development. So what you'll hear later with the person that I interviewed was one of the key challenges was actually understanding that for their child, some behaviors could be normal. So rather than punishing the child, understanding that it is a part of their development and they are at a normal stage. So key findings of the study was that participants indicated there was a need to help teachers develop more patience to cope with and attend to their children with special education needs. There was no specific coping strategies in place for these families and their children. It was put down to a lack of patience to cope and attend to students. And the study also found that parents can be resistant to suggestions made by teachers based on perceived levels of knowledge in regards to their child. So something you'll also see in what I'll be talking about with the person I interviewed was that one of the challenges was that parents are reluctant to accept help based on the needs of them and their children. So, and also 2 protective factors that could be used in inclusivity for parents and students are parent support groups and parent training. So I did another one because the first one wasn't exactly research on a specific intervention, which this one is. So this is the Nurturing Program, which is an intervention for parents of children with special needs. So the study was designed to assess the effectiveness of programs that target educating and empowering families with children with special needs. So for this one, the study was directed at building family strengths and reducing challenges parents face when raising children with special needs. And a few of the findings. First, the 2 main topics I guess you can discuss in here is empathy and empowerment. So with empathy, the conductors of the study proposed that if a parent is more empathetic, they're more likely to be aware and more understanding of the challenges their child faces. So a part of the intervention program was to actually indirectly teach the skill of empathy, and this resulted in more empathetic attitudes towards their children, more understanding, and want to actually be educated on how to support them. And empowerment. So if parents were taught how to empower themselves and their children, it resulted in more parent involvement, well-being, and access to support became more prevalent. So they were more aware of the things that they could actually seek. So with my interview, I did an educational developmental psychologist, and she works within the high school, working with students with special needs and their families in an attempt to support the family unit whilst their child is transitioning into different stages of life. So she has the belief that the client is the child and the family is an extension of them, relating to the microsystem in the family theory. So she supports teachers, she supports learners, she supports parents, leadership teams, and well-being. So the findings were that families face lack of understanding and awareness for disabilities, lack of parenting skills and knowledge, too much perceived pressure on students, and a lack of understanding on how to approach behavioural issues. So the mentality that pretty much everything is punishable, which goes back to the developmental theory where they're not understanding the stages their child is in. So what she does is she educates families on the developmental stages. For example, what is appropriate in terms of behaviour at this stage of their life, empathy and compassion, teaching about punishing versus educating depending on developmental stages, and not negatively framing children, which could lead to feeling like a burden or being misunderstood. So the link to theory quickly, it reveals the layers in which people interact with their world and society. So one of the main things here is when considering challenges faced by families with children exhibiting special needs, it is important to consider the microsystem, so the family unit and school, for example, and the macro system, so the feelings, beliefs, and ways of thinking. So if a family has children, their association into a school community is highly likely and can have a substantial effect on the level of support one receives. So there's adaptation. So parents have to be open to receiving feedback in order to adapt to their life with their children with special needs. Families must be educated on how to replace negative behaviours. There's human betterment, so the idea of being better for the economy, for justice, freedom, and peacefulness, and addresses nature versus nurture, so that both are important, and the interaction between both will result in how important the importance of human development.